back to the Magnates, a conversation with Barrister Yusuf Olaoluwa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, on the Magnate will continue for this week. We're going to be looking at several issues border on the legal practice and growing business. You know that this program, we call it Mentoring on Television and Growing Businesses. Let's continue with our conversation with our legal luminary. We're back.
Yusuf Ali, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Principal Partner at Gallup Chamber, started his early life by being enrolled in a local Quranic school and in a formal school in 1960. After his primary education, he went to a secondary modern school for 3 years. He worked briefly before he gained admission to Ibadan Boys High School, Ibadan, where he passed the school certificate with grade 1. He was the labor prefect. He again worked briefly as a clerical officer in the old Oyo State Ministry of Finance as a tax officer posted to Igbora in 1977. He gained admission to University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in 1978. Yusuf Ali San also served and is still serving on boards of many companies and institutions. He was the chairman Kwara State Law Reform Committee. He is a member of the Board of Trustees of Al-Hikmah University, Ilorin. He was the pioneer chairman, Council of Public Defenders, Kwara State. He is the chairman board of directors, Apex Microfinance Bank Limited. Yusuf Ali San held and still holds many professionals, too numerous to count. Mr. Yusuf Ali San is a patron and legal advisor to many professional and sociocultural groups all over Nigeria. He is also an associate lawyer at the Faculty of Law, University of Ilorin. He has delivered more than 200 papers on different and diverse topics at various fora, including the International Bar Association Conference, Commonwealth Law Association Conference, annual conferences of the Nigerian Bar Association, among others. Yusuf Ali has been awarded more than 100 honors from within and outside Nigeria. The endowment of the awards in his palatial chamber is an intimidating and diverse. He is listed in the American Biographical Institute, Who is Who, as well as in Nigeria's Who is Who. He is an ardent believer of keep fit exercise and philanthropist with a strong belief of giving back to the society and adding value to lives under the aegis of his foundation. Yusuf Ali is a well-traveled man and has visited all the continents of the world for professional and educational purposes.
We know you as a legal practitioner. Not too many people know you as a serial author. So many publications and books. Just let us into, as busy as you are, you still find time to write. Avail us your time management strategy.
I have this philosophy that you get time to do anything you are interested in doing. It's just a matter of allocation of your time. You must have a time to attain certain goals. And of course, you must have the interest. And I see writing as an opportunity to learn. It's like teaching. When you teach, you gain as much as the students. That's what people don't know. So, and that was why some of us, even when we were in the universities, either as undergraduate or later as for postgraduate, some of us enjoyed group discussions.
Tutorial.
Because at the group discussions, you learn so much when you think you are teaching so much.
It's true.
So it's the same thing about life. Look into the mirror. You smile at the mirror, it smiles back at you.
Now, as a member of the legal profession, are you sometimes bothered about practices of some of your colleagues that sometimes sort of dent the profession?
To say that I'm worried about professional misconduct is an understatement. Since I started practice about 4 decades ago, I've developed what I call ethical practice. I practice law in accordance with what we were taught in terms of professional ethics and morality. I had the privilege of serving on the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, LPDC, of the Body of Benchers for 6 years. That is the body that tries lawyers who are accused of professional misconduct. And what I saw there made my heart to bleed. I think the problem that came about essentially was I think the profession was not prepared for the influx of large number of people the way it came. You know, when you are not many in anything, in any profession, it's easier to do man-to-man type of monitoring. When I started practice in Ilorin, both the old lawyers, not so old lawyers, and we the young ones, were less, I wasn't sure we were up to 50. So we knew ourselves. Today, well, we thank God, there's no lawyer that in the town that doesn't know me, but I don't know half of the lawyers. Because we are now talking in terms of more than 1,000 lawyers or thereabouts. So the profession was not adequately prepared to confront what I call the deluge of people coming to the profession. As a member of the body of benchers, I know that annually we produce a minimum of 4,000 lawyers that join the market.
Wow.
Now, not only are you talking in terms of marketability, work for these young, impressionable individuals, you're also talking in terms of how do you monitor to ensure that they abide by all the rules of the professional conduct. That's the challenge. But we are not giving up. A lot of efforts are going on to ensure that those who come into the profession are not only fit and proper, but to ensure that they maintain the highest standard expected of a lawyer. Honesty, fidelity, integrity, learning, high morality. These are very, very essential.
Okay.
And I can assure you the profession is not keeping quiet.
Some people watching will say, oh, he's speaking grammar. I mean, it's not true because there are a lot of compromises. My question now is, how are you able to cope? Because people feel that those that are more for compromises are more. So what happens to a few of guided with this ethics, integrity, and all that? Because we hear a lot.
Our people have a saying, honesty pays. And I think that is very, very correct. For those who want to cut corners, you may think they are making progress in the short run. In the long run, they are losers. So don't cut corners. Don't abridge your morality. Don't abuse your position. In the short run, people may think you are not making it. In the long run, you are going to laugh last.
Interesting.
I can say it authoritatively that practicing law ethically, you can never go wrong.
Okay.
You can never go wrong.
Interesting.
And yeah, of course, we also encourage Nigerians. If lawyers are also subject to the law, if a lawyer has done something you think is, a lawyer collects money from you, for example, he has not delivered on what he promised to deliver, report him to the Nigerian Bar Association. There are disciplinary processes, and they will take their places. The NBA today that I know does not compromise when it comes to ethical, professional issues.
All right. Now, what would you say is the relationship between the bar and the bench as a major player and a member of the bench?
Well, number one, they are like Siamese twins.
Okay.
Members of the bench are recruited from the bar. To become a judge, you must be a lawyer. So you may the area of your practice may be different. You get my point? So both the bar and the bench are two sides of the same coin. And that is why at all our fora, we try to preach and tell ourselves that the failing of one arm will lead to the failure of the other arm. If the bar is not strong, virile, and up to task, it will affect the bench, both professionally and otherwise. Okay. So it's very important that the bar and the bench, like we have always been seeing ourselves, we must see ourselves as Siamese twins, or inseparable. Okay. To the extent that our works are different.
Okay, you know, you alluded to the fact that you do a lot of free services that you in the legal profession call pro bono. We hear of justice delayed can also be denied.
Yes.
The legal system in the country doesn't really favor the poor and the average Nigerian. When cases will keep dragging on and on and on. In fact, it's even more complicated now when courts were more or less in recess because of the pandemic. Cases are just there, and the average Nigerian or even the poor one who never gets, the cases in head.
Litigants themselves are contributors to delay in justice delivery. Let me remind you, when you take your case to court, you have a claim against another person or a company. It is your duty to bring witnesses in support of your position. In most cases, litigants, they are very easy in approaching the courts, but find it almost impossible to provide the materials for the court to work with in terms of providing their witnesses. Even sometimes clients will not provide sufficient materials for their lawyers to be able to go on with their matters. That is number one. Number two, from my experience, many clients will engage you, you agree on the fees, he pays a part of it, maybe a paltry part of it. When it is time for him or her to fulfill his or her obligation, he or she becomes impossible. In such instances, the lawyer may be tempted to say, look, if you are not paying me, I'm not going to pursue this matter. That is number two. Number three, you cannot deliver 21st century service with 18th century implements. Up till this point, especially at the trial courts, our judges still take long-hand notes as if they are stenographers. So there is need for the automation of court proceedings. No thanks to power. Because even you get to some courts, they've not seen light in terms of electricity for months. Those of you that watch court proceedings in the US and England and other places, and it's very good that, as we are talking now, there is this trial of Chauvin, Derek Chauvin, the police officer that killed Floyd in the US. You see that witnesses will come, they just be talking the way I'm talking now. Nobody will stop them or something. What was the last thing you said? Because the courts are automated. Recordings are going on in several places. So we must get to that stage for us here. So that instead of judges using a whole day listening to just 3-4 witnesses, they will take as many as are available on a particular day. Number 3 or 4, the work that judges are doing is immeasurable. The government must be prepared to provide all the necessary tools, and judges must be remunerated properly. In England, for example, many people who have attained the silk, who are Queen's Counsel, equivalent of senior advocate, most of them go back to the High Court bench and deploy their experiences. You are not likely to see a senior advocate of Nigeria in Nigeria going to say he wants to become a High Court judge, because the conditions of service are very perilous. They are not encouraging. And if you want the best, you must be prepared to pay for the best.
Pay for the best.
So, and then of course, our attitude as a people has a lot of impact on the delay of justice in our country.
Thank you very much. Let's go for a breather now. Asking more questions about that on legal practice. We'll be back shortly. You're welcome back. This is the Magnate, and we're reaching you from Gallup Chamber. It's a law firm, the city of Ilorin, capital of Kwara State, the state of harmony. And I have with us, conversing with us on the Magnate today, Barrister Yusuf Olaoluwale, the managing partner. You're welcome to the program again, sir.
Thank you, madam.
You've said so much about the legal practice in Nigeria, and I know you are one of the, would I call it, one of the powers that be in the bar association, so to say. I know you would still want to be more because you have served in several committees and you are even now a kingmaker, so to say. How do you deal with some of the news we hear about factions here, faction there? Is that part of human existence?
Well, you know, in any organization where you have more than one person, of course, that what makes an organization. Husband and wife, for example. If you have 4 children in the house, if you are not careful, there will be factions. Though. Some will go with mommy. Some will like daddy. So it starts from there. But professionally speaking, talking about the Nigerian Bar Association, as an individual, I do not see any basis for us to fall into any schism. My attitude, even in Nigerian politics, my attitude is that, look, if I say I want to serve you, and you say I should not serve you, there's no quarrel. What am I saying? You and I contest an election, and people say they prefer you. That should not mean that we should then balkanize our organization. You win some, you lose some. But Nigerians generally don't have good sportsmanship attitude about anything. Even sports. And the example I give to people to let you know that we are ill-prepared to be good sportsmen is, one, if World Cup is not going to take place in 3 years' time in any country, some countries have already started preparing now. Nigeria will not start preparation until 3 months to the time. And we expect to go there and win. You know, there is this cheating mentality. I think we have cheating mentality. How do you want to compete favorably with a country that has spent 4 years preparing and you that spent maximum of 6 months in disorganized manner? And that's our attitude about so many things. Even in the profession, and I tell people, we don't win all cases. But when we lose a case, ask my colleagues in this office, I don't look for scapegoat. I don't start to think, is it because somebody saw somebody? No. I ask 2 critical questions. What did we do that we ought not to have done that could have led to this result? Or what did we not do that we should have done that should have given us this result? So self-introspection is lacking in most Nigerians. Nigerians like scapegoatism. Your wife does not cook for you. You must then look for your mother-in-law as the cause. Instead of saying, look, what did I do to this woman that she will not cook? Your husband has not bought you a new set of trinkets. You start to abuse his mother. Instead of asking, okay, this man bought this thing for me last year. What happened this year? Is it because he doesn't have the money? Or he has some... So we don't criticize. Self-introspection, self-examination. To know that, is it because... So if we don't change this attitude, we'll be having the same problem.
Okay. I'm curious. I mean, you're so passionate about this legal profession. You referred earlier on to your colleagues. I am wondering, is any of your children, are you nurturing any of your children for this revered profession? As passionate as you are, because I know that a few of them are taking to other profession.
Well, let me just say that I never encouraged or discouraged any of my children in any particular course. I have this attitude that people tend to do very well in things they have passion. You can't force people. And that's why you can see it all over the places. Somebody, my father said he must become a medical doctor. He will take the certificate and give to the advisor. Daddy, you said I will be a doctor. This is your certificate. Me, it's music that I want to do. You say I must be a lawyer. Yes, I'm a lawyer now. This is the certificate. Me, I want to do fashion design. It means ab initio, their passion is somewhere else. So that is the disadvantage of forcing children to read particular courses. To the glory of God, I have a daughter who is a lawyer, and I think she's about 11 years or so at the bar now. And it was our choice. And she's in Abuja practicing, not in my office. She has never practiced with me.
Part of the succession plan. One day, Gallup Chamber will have his successor. All right, now, finally, sir, I mean, you have nurtured businesses, you have groomed some, you have encouraged people. A lot of businesses are suffering. A lot of companies are shutting down. A lot of people are devastated with the pandemic. Some are on life support, like some will say. What's your counsel for everybody to be able to navigate, even though they say we are off a recession?
That's in central bank.
What's your counsel for us all to be able to withstand this?
Recession still lives with all of us, the ordinary people. Now, let me first of all, number one, never bite more than you can chew. Number two, don't dabble into a business in which you have no knowledge.
Great.
It's always better to go for some form of training in anything you want to do. Farming, fashion designing, whatever you want to do to put money, know about it. At least, you don't need to become a professor in it, but you must have working knowledge. Number three, you must be prudent. Number four, never spend expected profit.
Interesting.
Which is the disaster that befalls a lot of Nigerians. People spend expected profit.
That is not in your hand yet.
So if you spend expectation, you are caught in disaster. Because what you expected may not come through. You expect that on this business, I'm going to make 20,000. And you have already spent the 20,000 in advance. Supposing the business goes bad, and then instead of making a profit, you make a loss. It means the 20,000 you have spent, you are taking part of your capital. So you need a lot of prudence. And you must know your strength. If you are not a good person in marketing, don't set up a marketing outfit. If you are not a good person in media, presentation of programs, even if you establish a media, don't say because you are the owner, you must be a presenter. People will watch you once and they switch to other channels.
Good.
So it's very important for us to know our strength and our weaknesses before we dabble into anything. And then we must at all times do self-appraisal and appraisal of the business. If you put in so much, what do you expect in return? At the end of the day, do you have the returns? If you don't, you rejig. And then you don't lose anything by talking to experts. Those who know more than you do. It could be even your competitor.
Interesting.
How do you do this? How do you get around this? If this issue arises, and then of course, continue with trainings, education, self-education. There are a lot of online things now that you can do. Some free, some you have to pay. So it's very important. It's a whole lot of things that lead to failures of businesses. So apart from the general economy, after all, the economy is not doing well. Some people are doing exceedingly well in the same place. So look for the look at the kind of things
you fit in,
that you can deliver. That you have the capacity, the knowledge, the focus, and the understanding.
Thank you very much. It's been Barrister Yusuf Olaolu Ali, the managing partner of Gallup Chamber, City of Ilorin, Kwara State, State of Harmony. Thank you very much for all this knowledge you have shared. The program is considered lending a voice to business growth, and you have really grown a lot of businesses today with the tips you have provided and then the legal counsel you are giving us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me on your program. It's my pleasure.
If you have taken away any tip on this program today, the only way you can continue to learn and relearn on this program, fresh Magnate, a fresh edition of the program. Until then, bye for now.